Qualifying just about to end for GTE. Some magic about to happen for all these drivers. It's one of the best circuits in the world. And for a circuit which was second on the Formula One calendar all the way back in 1999, this is a track which has famously become one of the greatest racetracks in the world. It is Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. It is Interlagos, and we are here for the second round of the Venomworks Sportscar Championship, live and uninterrupted here on Forever Sim Racing. The last drivers looking to put their times in. Ben Kriener has just moved up to second position against the winner from the opening round at Daytona, PJ Claysons. He's not having it all his own way, though, in qualifying. There's three drivers within a tenth of a second of him. Dion Phillips is the other one in third position. It's Jake Sperry here in the commentary box, joined with Caitlin Penny and, of course, as well, Marco Barbanera on top of that. The final times coming in. Billy Fletcher, currently in fourth position at the moment, makes his final push to the line. And can he get exactly what he wants out of it? And a 1:28.576 says he could not improve on his time. Over the line came PJ Claysons. He could not find improvements either on the lap. Fraser Smith stays in 11th position for the moment as the drivers are all but done in terms of their qualifying time for your GTE category. Caitlin, we bring you into the conversation. PJ Claysons on pole position. That has got to be a big bonus for him, especially after last round. Ben Kriener in second, his first start. Dion Phillips third, his first start. Both of them looking to make up for lost ground.
Yeah, I tell you what, they're so close. Less than half a tenth of a second separating the top three there. Those three could be going at it all the way through the race. And in fact, they were in the opposite order in terms of practice times. So all three of them there so close. And Claysons will be absolutely thrilled to take pole position there by just, well, the skin of his teeth. Anyway, LMP2s now heading out onto the circuit, getting ready for the start of their first qualifying, or their qualifying session. And you see them lining up there at the end. How we do it is we have one qualifying session. Half of it, the first half, is for the GTEs. The second half is for the LMP2s. And this is the faster class. This is the one where we're going to see the outright pole times, the fastest, absolute most flat-out laps that you can get. And not sure exactly what we're expecting, but we'll probably be close to maybe 117, maybe 118, 119. It's a very short track here at Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. The Formula One cars, of course, do it in less than a minute. And of course, we have to look out for our championship leader here, who is not Yella Piazza Hugland. He came second as JP Ringwood, who is lining up in the cave.
Well, look at this. They're 4 wide here looking for a start. And remember, this pit exit is so difficult. They're waiting for their call. They've got 45 seconds before they're allowed to get going. Neil Andrews was very aggressive trying to get out. In fact, he was called back into pit lane because he was so aggressive trying to get out. So this is the waiting game that these drivers have. They know they've got time. They've got 8 minutes to set their lap time, so they'll have a 30-second countdown before they get that ability to do so. And this will decide how they grid up for this race, which is 1 hour, 1 mandatory pit stop, which will make life difficult for all of these drivers. And if anything has been told by qualifying from Daytona, times can improve the longer that things go on. Track temp today, 32 degrees. It's a nice track temp. It's middle of the road. Winds coming in from the east, blasting in at about 15k. There's 12 minutes on the clock, and immediately they go, and Dane's almost running into the side of Ringwood there as they went through this fantastic pit road. Goes through turns 1, 2, and 3, one of the longer pit exits that you will find anywhere in the world. But Ringwood at the moment looking good, but his practice hasn't been as such. He's only had 1 day to get accustomed to the car. Other drivers have been practicing for the whole month.
Yeah, they were lining up 4 wide there at the pit line, very eager to get going. Of course, first driver out gets the clean air, gets to decide effectively what piece of track they want. And of course, the only way another driver can take that is if they go ultra slowly on the outlap. You still have drivers absolutely scrapping for position in this field. I didn't expect that it would mean quite this much to them, since of course it's a dry track, so it's not gradually getting wetter or slower, and they still have maybe not plenty of time, but still more time than you'd expect. It almost looks like it's a 2-minute session from what we're witnessing here. But anyway, we're going to be seeing the LMP2s heading around for their first flying laps very, very shortly. Drivers just ascending the hill now, and the first drive to cross the line, I believe, is going to be Chris Dane. So here we go for a lap of the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pando.
Yes, and you head into turn 1s, 2 and 3 to centre S. Little lock up there from Chris Danes. He looks to go down the hill and get on the power early through turn number 3. You're not really fighting much. It's all about building the momentum through the Curva de Sol onto the Reto Aposta, and then you look towards turns numbers 4 and 5, the Desquita de Lago, one of the prime overtaking opportunities out on circuit here today. Down the hill, there at the lakeside corner, and then up the hill you head once again. And this is where life becomes difficult, because you got turn 6, Ferradura, the horseshoe corner, and you always look to try and get it right, but a missed apex there from Davis. He's got to gather it up on the exit before he heads himself into this fantastic infield section, up and down the bowls. The Laranjina here, this fantastic left-hand 180 degrees down the hill, up to the Bico de Pato. You come along straight away, looking to use all of the track on the left-hand side for getting the power down early. Mahulo is difficult for a couple of drives. You can lose the back end through this section if you've not got enough downforce on the vehicle before you head to Junsao, the junction, and then it's a long run up the hill through Arquibancadas, which is this left-hander coming up, and then Desquita dos Boxes, which is the small kick, before making the run over to the start-finish line. This will be the first representative lap time that we'll see, Caitlin, and the times will start coming in as Chris Danes comes over the line. It's 23 flat then to open up proceedings here around today. Likes of Ringwood going quicker on a 22.8. Danny Henney there in a 23.4. The time starting to flow in.
Yeah, I was a little bit optimistic when I predicted 118s, but anyway, still 122 is very, very fast laps. Of course, we were seeing 123s in practice. So the lap there from JPW Ringwood, which is at the top of the times, fastest time we've seen so far today, but very close with Neil Andrews. Impressive performance so far. I don't remember seeing him at Daytona, but I may be mistaken.
He was there.
He was there, okay. So anyway, taking the fight to the championship leader. My apologies, Neil. Can't remember you for some reason. But anyway, definitely taking the fight to JPW Ringwood. Tony Baird only 1/10 of a second off so far, and Chris Danes not far behind him. So it's close at the top, but we've only seen one flying lap from each driver.
We certainly have. Neil Andrews fought for the race win at Daytona. He fell away after finding himself in the wall at the bus stop, and that pretty much ended his chances of a race victory there at race 1. And it's remembered, abandoned ship for his second lap. He will not go quicker. You are allowed to reset in this series, so drivers will be doing so, getting the tyres up to temperature, getting themselves back out on track. In terms of drivers who haven't set lap times as of yet, Philip McDougall, Josh Johnson and Taylor Lane are those drivers who have yet to set a representative time. There are 12 LMP2s here today at Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace here as they look to try and make this push through qualifying. Half of qualifying already score complete as well, so they've only got 3.5 minutes to go out there and get some improvements. What about Jelle Peter Hoogland at the moment making the run to the line? He's the number 15 car. Taylor Lane goes to 9th place, but Hoogland does not find a lap time that time. He ran himself off with an off-track incident point, which meant that the lap time did not count. Same for Johnson. He'll have to go around again, and there, of course, are not many opportunities to get laps in. You've got to be pinpoint accurate.
Philip McDougall sets his first lap. He's at the back of the LMP2 field so far, except for Johnson, who hasn't set a time. Andrews is not on a lap at the minute. He ran very, very wide at turn 4, and he's had to bail out that one. JPW Ringwood still on a flying lap. No way to tell exactly how fast it is yet, since we can't see sector times, although it appears to be relatively quick. Oh, yeah, he's gone.
It was Kevin Bolland who's gone around, the number 49 car, and that's coming out of the Laranjina, and he had to get himself on the grass and try and do a nice sick drift, some would say, to get himself back out onto track. So he did a nice sick drift, gets himself going again, but his lap is abandoned and his tyres will be heated up, and now that's going to be crucial for his final couple of laps here, Caitlin. If the tyres are heated up, that's going to mean that those tyres, they're going to be struggling for grip here through the final lap and so.
is a long way down in the field as well. P10 out of 12. Says a lot about a series when your least popular class has 12 entries. That's pretty good, actually. Of course, GTE has 20, so it's a big field here. But anyway, it does mean that if you get stuck in the pack, you've got quite a way to climb. Josh Johnson sets his first lap. That's P9 for him, so he jumps ahead of Taylor Lane. He's only just behind Philip Russell and Benjamin Johnson, who very nearly set identical lap times there. And he could, well, challenge them in the remaining minutes of qualifying. But anyway, Andrews, I thought, no, he's been back to the pit, so he's now just exited the pit. He's on an out lap, if I am seeing that correctly. Yes, that's exactly what's happened. Oh, no, actually, this isn't an out lap at all. He's gone past the start-finish line and then slowed again, so obviously the situation not quite right for Andrews, and he's going to have limited opportunities to go at it again. Tony Baird just starting a flying lap now, and really this is looking very good for Ringwood despite the close time.
Well, there are 5 drivers right now within a tenth of a second of pole position. That tells you how close it is. He can't find improvement this lap. He goes on the brakes, and I think he will not find any more improvements as he bails out and says, right, final laps are going to come in. Who is going to find those improvements? Danny Henney, Tony Baird there in 3rd position has just moved up into there. Chris Daines is currently in 5th right now as he crosses the line. Does a 22.947, slightly slower, but he's got 30 seconds and the end of his lap to go out there and continue here. Andrews will be one of the last over the line. He's got himself a 23-second buffer to get himself going as he skids up for his big flying lap. A 1:43 was certainly not representative. Jelle Peter Hoogland's very good in the race pace, so keep an eye out on him. He's been very solid as of recently, as 10 seconds now left on the qualifying clock. The timer will expire on drivers 4, 3, and Benjamin Johnson will just not make it over the line as he crosses it, so he will not find the improvement. He was just too slow. Russell was as well. Here's Tony Baird, though, over the line, does himself a 23.1, does not improve from 3rd position. Overall, that was not ideal. Danny Henney there in 4th position, his first start of the season. He will want to get a good run through Mehulo, over towards Jun Sao, and hoping that the time is right for him. He knows it's just 0.08 of a second that he needs only to move up from 4th to 1st, and he's hoping that the tyres are still there for him and the track conditions are okay as he makes this run all the way through the Skidados boxes, over to the line, straight lining as much as he possibly can. Here's Danny Henney, 23.2. Not good enough there. Bolland will not find improvements. Jelle Peter Hoogland will be the last driver who can possibly set a time to challenge here, because everyone else has pretty much not found what they have needed through this section. Up the hill comes Jelle Peter Hoogland in the number 15. He finished P2 last time out at Daytona. He will want to get somewhere closer to that, matter of fact, this time by as he makes the push to the line. Has he got the improvements that he wants? Has he got everything that he needs? Over the line he goes. 23.7, not good enough. So the grid shall be as follows. JPW Ringwood will be on pole position, and he will have Neil Andrews alongside with Tony Baird in 3rd position. Danny Henney's first start means he goes from 4th with Chris Daines in 5th. The top 5 split by less than a 10th of a second. 6th position is Benjamin Johnson with Jelle Peter Hoogland there in 7th. Josh Johnson starting this one in 8th with Philip Russell in 9th. Taylor Lane goes 10th. Kevin Bolland 11th. And Philip McDougall will start from 12th. Caitlin stood by with GTEs.
PJ Claysons, of course, took pole position in GTE, but only just ahead of Ben Kriener. And Dion Phillips not that far behind at all. We could be seeing a close battle between those 3, especially at the start. Billy Fletcher is P4, followed by Steve Hobbs, then Russell Burns, Ewan Marshall, Keanu Bourgonjon, Matish Van Delden, Ethan Bass, Fraser Smith, Morgan Thompson, Paul King, Kim Behate, Stephen Norman, and then Dane Baird, Ollie Slade, Lee Woodburn, Jason Haddington, and finally the 32nd driver with a lot of ground to gain, Jonas Gillis.
Well, there's a lot of work that needs to be done for some, though, down at the back of the field, but this is going to be a very tough challenge for a lot of drivers. They will line up just after the Reto Aposta for this 2/3 of a pace lap that they will have available to them. This is going to be a really tough challenge for these drivers. They know they've got to go an hour, and of course, it is worth talking about this, Caitlin, very, very briefly. This track is not amazingly wide. It's sort of built into this bowl, and you've got maybe 2 wide, 3 wide at best in certain sections of the circuit. So dealing with lap traffic, this may be where the race is won and lost today.
It's a wonderfully designed circuit, actually, because you do have a lot of opportunities for overtaking, or at least for getting alongside drivers. But because it has a real flowing back and left and right layout, it means that if you get alongside someone, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get past them, and that shouldn't be too much of an issue on traffic, since they won't put up a fight. But definitely, if you're going for an overtake, it's going to be very, very tough. Traffic, as you say, will come into play. It's a short circuit, meaning they're going to catch traffic more often than they did at Daytona. And realistically, they're going to want to get past the GT, well, the LMP2s are going to want to get past the GTs on the straight, because you have a long, flat-out piece of road between turn 13 and turn 1.
And there are already issues for Jonas Gillis, who would start P32. He has himself a disconnect, and that means that he will not take to the start and will probably fall at least 1 lap down at this position. So that's going to hurt very much at this point in time. A few technical issues coming in as well for, I believe that is Benjamin Johnson, who's just blinking ever so slightly. He's got to be careful that his internet doesn't go on him, because that is the sim racing equivalent of the engine going kaboom, even though the engine can go kaboom in all of these vehicles when they go out there and race. Dissimilar to the likes of other sims out there. But for the moment, though, Ringwood will have control of the field. Then you've got Andrews, got Tony Baird in there. He wants to make up for what happened as well at Daytona, along with Chris Daines. Both of them got caught up in each other's incident at the bus stop after Baird's mistake from the race lead, so they will want to try and get themselves back into position. No one was close enough to catch PJ Clayson's at Daytona, but he's got 2 challengers in Kriener and Phillips. Billy Fletcher, who finished second in that race, well, he'll start from 4th position for this one, and he will try and make sure that he's going to be doing the best he possibly can. New team for Billy, as he now teams up the likes of Ben Kriener and co. to try and get himself moving forward. A nice gap as well built for those in LMP2 compared to GTEs. They will make sure that the GTE drivers will go on their own calls, but it's going to be all about now who can keep their nerve for an hour. This is one of those big, big tracks where if you can get it right here, you can make huge time through the traffic. You've just got to make sure that car placement here is better and second to none. This is a car control and also a racing skilled circuit. You've got to be skilled to pick up a victory around this place. Pace car dives down into pit road. We're getting ready. There's the green flag. Ringwood goes immediately here as we get ourselves underway. And out of Jomo Jose Carlos Pace immediately. Andrews trying to look in the CXR car to the outside to try and get the move done. Trying to breeze around Ringwood here through this one. Down to the inside. Little bit of contact between the two. This is going to check the field back up here towards turn 3 and 4. And now towards turn 4 they go. Where do you go if you're Tony Baird? He's right in the middle. Oh, they fan out just about. Daines going for a gap that doesn't exist. They're 3 wide. Here as they go through towards the Interlagos. Fantastic start in LMP2. Ringwood's gone too deep though. And suddenly, Daines may just take the race. He Baird's around in the wall. Daines takes the lead.
Accident in the back too. Jason Haddington got together with Ollie Slade, but as you say, there's been an accident in the LMP2 class. A lot of swapping positions. Didn't exactly see what happened, but there's a lot of drivers who have got a lot of ground to gain.
Well, disaster off the start it wasn't for Danny Henney even, who takes the lead. He starts then, he gets himself in front. Chris Daines is there in 4th position, so Danny Henney there in the Brittech car takes the lead. The head of JPW Ringwood there in 2nd position on a manic start. And what's important as well is the back of the LMP2s aren't going too far away from these GTEs. PJ Clayson in a number 27 car doing a very good job at the front. Dion Phillips there in 2nd. He didn't race in the opening one, nor did Ben Kriener, who's there into 3rd position, but it's been relatively clean. Side by side towards the back, Morgan Thompson under pressure from Dane Baird, but he has nothing to get the move done. A very big lap completed, as already defending goes Andrews here in the scrap for 3rd. Overall, doesn't quite get that one going. A manic start, but you got to say, Tony Baird's 2nd straight race put in under pressure right now and is effectively fighting from behind. will come down in, he will take his stop, and his one mandatory fast repair.
Yeah, luckily neither Ollie Slade nor Jason Hamilton needed to pit after their incident. Lee Woodburn also had an incident, and we've got side by side. Now who's that?
That was Danes making his way through on Neil Andrews. He's now up into 3rd position overall.
Yeah, indeed he is, and he's gone right around the outside there. That was a really, really good move. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong one. In fact, I think, okay, never mind. My game blinked. But anyway, Dane's up into 3rd place. Got a slightly worse start than some of his opponents around him. But he's kept his head down and made the jump on Neil Andrews. Going for a higher position than he achieved with that accident at Daytona.
Well, a spanner in the works, but they have a lot of time to work with at the moment. Ethan Bass under pressure right now. This is Ewan Marshall. He finished 3rd at Daytona, and he wants to try and get back through. He didn't have the best qualifying in the world. Starts in 19th position, so that was 7th in class. He needs to work forward through this field, but what I am really, really impressed with is just how quick these GTEs are. There's not much of a disparity gap in this field. You're talking about maybe 5 seconds between qualifying paces between the two. That's mainly down to the fact here, Caitlin, today that this is very much a middle sector where stop-starting does not favour LMP2s, it favours GTE, so they are able to keep up with cars in the middle sector.
Totally, and as well, GTEs are very, very fast. Straight line, not quite as fast as the LMP2s, but closer to them than they are in the corners. Meanwhile, last time round, Kim Behe got together with Dane Beard. I didn't see exactly how that started off. All I know is that Beard lost a lot of time, spun into the infield, and Kim Behe obviously has a slightly damaged rear wing. So a couple of contacts already in this race. Couple of cars with damage and damaged prides maybe, although still relatively okay. But anyway, yeah, as you say, GT is closer to LMP2s here than they were at Daytona, which has a lot more kind of fast corners, especially with that bus stop section. But here, they're probably going to end up very much liking that, being very thankful for that, because it means that there's going to be slightly less traffic than would be suggested by these short lap times.
Well, look at this. Andrews is going to come straight back at Chris Danes here, sat in 4th position. Maybe thinks about the inside, but he's lifted off very early down the straight here, looking towards turn 4. And I think there may be a little bit of an element of fuel saving going on from Neil Andrews. Knows he doesn't want to get into a fight the same way that he did at Daytona, so he'll sit back there, save the fuel, and if he can save enough fuel at the moment, Caitlin, maybe he will try and save a lap or two, go a bit longer on his stint compared to someone else, and get himself out into a position where he can overcut other drivers. I think that Andrews is looking to take the least amount of fuel possible here, but he is showing that he's got a whole heap of pace, because I don't think that Chris Danes has ever seen a vehicle very much hugged like he's got himself a Neil Andrews on the tow bar, so to speak.
Yeah, we're expecting one stop here. This track not that hard on fuel or tyres, but the car's not able to go the full hour distance. And when you take that stop, it can definitely make a difference. You can get an undercut by going to fresher tyres sooner, or you can get an overcut that works in terms of the way you're on the track compared to your position, compared to the traffic, and also if you can get your tyres up to, if it takes a while to get your tyres up to temperature, then as well as that, you have fuel to contend with. It's another strategy option to do with how much you start with and how much you put in at the fuel stop. Getting it right, of course, can gain you tenths of a second or even seconds over the course of a race. Getting it wrong can mean a DNF sometimes.
Here's a battle going on. Ethan Bass looking to attack Steve Hobbs in the second GTE group. This is behind Keanu Bourgonjon at the moment, as Hobbs has had a mistake at turn 1, went slightly wide, leaving the room for Bass, who's managed to pick the inside up now for turn number 4 at the Interlagos, and he's got that one pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered on the exit there. Had to check up, did Hobbs, and suddenly get yourself freight train, my friend. That's 3 positions for the price of one. He loses out to Mathieu van Delden in the Nomad car, and then Ewan Marshall as well, making a way through also. So that's 3 positions lost, and they have just almost lost 1 second off of Keanu. The front 5 in GTEs looking really, really nice at the moment as they battle on at it at the front of their field. It seems that Clayson's happy to be at the front, but not having everything his own way right now. Unable to break out a second, but he's got himself 7/8 tenths at the moment right now, with Dion Phillips just hugging in close.
Whoa.
And his moment, no, right around there almost, Ben Kriener with a big save. He says he's a Euro NASCAR driver. Well, he's just shown that he's got skills better than Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, just dipped a wheel into the wider part of the curb there, the more grassy part. Went for a big slide, and he's going to lose a couple of positions here. Through goes Billy Fletcher to 3rd position. Russell Burns looks to also be coming through in the Ferrari, but they're still side by side down into turn 1. Burns has the inside line, and indeed, Kriener loses 2 places with that. But to be honest, he did very, very well not to lose even more. He could have lost the entire race there by slamming into the wall.
Look at this.
But didn't, and he's now got an excellent run on the Ferrari of Russell Burns. Goes to the inside, and they're going to be side by side again, but the other way around to the way they were at turn 1. And this time, Ben Kriener is going to go straight back through.
And the BMW makes its way by the Ferrari without too many issues in terms of category of classes and battle of balance of performance. Porsche leads this race. Second is the Ferrari of Dion Phillips. Then you follow that up with Billy Fletcher in the BMW. Front 3 different drivers at the moment, and 3 different manufacturers even, I should say. That shows you how talented and diverse the field is at the moment. Back though to your LMP2 division, and Chris Daines is having to look backwards in his mirrors compared to looking forwards. He lost a whole second compared to the drivers in front because he's fighting so hard. In fact, he lost the position and regained it. Made a mistake through Mahulo. You can catch it on replay here on Forever Sim Racing. He got a wiggle through Mahulo. It was a good catch, and down the inside goes Andrews, but using all of the power and draft on the straight, he was able to get it backwards, Chris Daines. That's a second gone. They now find themselves 1.8 seconds off of Ringwood.
And often in the LMP2s, because they're so aerodynamically dependent, slipstream is very, very effective, and now that they've lost that slipstream, they may find themselves dropping back even further. Of course, that was more of an effect at Daytona, where you have the longer stretches of slipstreamy road, but here as well you have the whole of section up the hill. Oh, side by side.
We've got Ewan Marshall going at it right now with Ethan Bass again, as Marshall trying to fight on the inside. Bass going the long way around here on the outside at the Interlagos, and he'll have the inside now for the next 2 corners at Ferradura and the start of the Laranjina infield section. So here we go. What can you do around the outside, Mr. Marshall? Not very much. You may have to try and look up and under, and they're trying to battle it out a little bit behind as well here, Kate. And Mathieu van Delden looking a little bit racy.
Indeed, he is trying to get in on the action. Often you can follow a car through when they make, but not quite able to do that just yet. This is a section of track where you can do that because it's quite snaky, very unpredictable, and if a driver gets forced offline, it's difficult to keep the car under control and to get it turned in for the next corner. But anyway, Delden not getting off particularly well. He's actually lost a bit of time there, getting unsettled by the cars in front of him, possibly a bit distracted, and are they're going to be in a slipstreaming chain as they crest the hill. Hobbs, Marshall, and Bass. And in front of them, indeed, they're going side by side. Russell Barnes to the inside of Ben Kriener again. But are not quite having the legs on the BMW just yet. They've got Keanu Ogonjon directly behind them.
And Keanu's done so well to get onto the back of this train. He's in 6th position in class at the moment, looking to try and push up to 5th and 4th position if he can get the moves done at the moment. On the brakes they go. Left-hander missed apex there from the BMW compared to the 2 Ferraris that are trying to chase down behind. So here comes the chance then for Russell Barnes. Across the beams, why don't you up into Ferradura? You don't often make the moves there. And he had to lift out of it now through the second part. Keanu's got a breathtaking opportunity down the inside, but look at that, late on the brakes from the Ferrari in front, and that is Russell Barnes holding on to 5th. Overall, some very, very good driving, but keep an eye out once more on that P3 scrap. They're losing a lot of time, and I think Neil Andrews is tired of waiting here. He may decide he wants to make that move. You can see the gap, about a car length between them right now as they head to the Interlagos, and surely if you're Neil Andrews in the number 10 CXR car machine there, Caitlin, you've got to be hoping that the little marker board on the left-hand side of the Rato Apostle that says DRS on it was active.
Ringwood taking a look to the outside of Henny. He's closer than he has been for a very, very long time. And yeah, got right up on the tail of him. Almost had a way through, and they've got GT traffic coming up now as well. So this is getting very close for the lead of LMP2. And I'm not sure if there was a mistake there for Henny or not. I looked away briefly, but yeah, all of a sudden Ringwood was pretty much alongside him.
Yeah, and that is 0.8 of a second taken out in about 4 corners, which tells you all you need to know. So Danny Henny is going to be under pressure right now from JPW Ringwood, who will want to get back here the race lead. It's on for the front 4 here in your LMP2 category at the overall for this race lead, and they are starting to hit traffic. It's going to be difficult. What also is not going to help the GTEs as well right now is the fact that Tony Baird is making his way through. He's just passed for overall position, Ewan Marshall, and we'll get Ethan Bass next, but he's trying to fight himself down from a 50-second deficit at the moment, almost 55 seconds. That's always going to make life very, very tough to try and get all of that time back. He's got the pace of the leaders. He's just got to get through the traffic.
Ringwood is definitely benefiting from this traffic now, because Henny's having to do all of the work and Ringwood's just following him through. And of course this traffic is backing up Danny Henny, and if he can get past him before one of the cars, then the advantage that Henny has by being ahead will of course be completely taken away. It does mean that Ringwood will then have to force his way past the traffic as well. But yeah, he's properly going for it now, properly making hay while the sun shines. And if there's going to be a move in the next, if there's going to be a move before the pit stages, I reckon it's probably going to come maybe even in the next lap.
It very much could do at the moment. On the brakes, looking Andrews behind, gets himself checked up slightly through Junsao and loses all of his momentum heading up the hill, which is of course draft central around this circuit, up the hill to the start-finish line with a slight depreciation down the hill as you look to try and push for that start-finish line overall as they try and weave and bob their way through the traffic. Worth noting as well, front of your GTE field, PJ Clayson's has just checked out to the tune of 1.5 seconds now over Dion Phillips. He will not have the draft, and Dion is now going to have to hope that PJ Clayson's at some stage in this race, Caitlin, makes a mistake, as it is absolutely Piccadilly Circuit behind Ethan Bass.
Yes, Ringwood's gone for a dive. Ringwood's taken the lead. JPW Ringwood takes the lead down at turn 4. Yeah, definitely. He sold him the dummy there. Henny was going defensive going into the corner and didn't expect Ringwood to actually make a dive for it, but he did. Henny ended up running wide in the corner, but I'd say that was definitely fair for JPW Ringwood. Great move.
Well, there was more issues. There was drama between Russell Barnes and Kiani Begognon through turn number 2 as they went through. They came together through the second part of the apex, and ultimately they have really stacked up the field now. All of a sudden, Ethan Bass finds himself inside the top 5, followed by Kiani Begognon, Russell Barnes, and then you've got the likes of Hobbs in there, Marshall's in there, you've got Matisse Van Delden, and on the back, Fraser Smith and Paul King and Morgan Thompson trying to stay with. It's a huge pack, and guess who's going to be approaching on it in the next 5 laps or so? You're absolutely right, it's the race leaders. Look at Neil Andrews once again, though. He's going to try and maybe save a little bit of fuel again here heading towards turn number 1. No point fighting with Chris Daines right now. I'll fight with you later with the S word, the magic S word. That one's strategy.
Yeah, brilliant move from Ringwood. Made the move stick, got on the
Kimber Haight making contact there right in front of the leaders with Stephen Norman.
Indeed, that was very, very close, but Haight's had a couple of contacts so far in this race, but they both appear to just about get away with it. But Haight now back to the inside of Norman. Norman fends him off. These two, the next two to be lapped. The leader's a little way further back, but they're probably going to catch them by the end of this lap. And need to make sure that they don't make contact, because of course that will not only ruin their own races, but other people may well have to take avoiding action.
And talking of avoiding action, there's Chris Danes sideways as he got off the curb, looking to hit the brakes. He never had the car settled. He's done well to keep it pointed in a straight line, and he's only lost one position for his troubles, and he's still just about within a second. He has got the bridge gap now back to Benjamin Johnson in 5th place, but that is a fantastic save from Chris Danes. Any lesser of a mortal would have found himself around and probably hit with another one of the LMP2s.
Yeah, trust me, I know. Last race I did it in Interlagos, I did exactly that, but didn't save it. So, yeah, great job from Chris Danes. He'll probably have some slightly flat-spotted red tyres, and that will definitely cost him a lot of time. Yeah, definitely better than losing your rear wing. But anyway, Chris Danes now down in 4th position behind Neil Andrews. Those two have been fighting for a couple of laps now, and the lead is still approaching. In fact, Ringwood flashing his lights there at the LMP or the GTEs in front of him. He's definitely nervous about Mahate and Millman. Mahate there. Oh wow, oh very close, and Mahate there, I'm not entirely sure Henny knew exactly where he was going. Henny got a little bit balked, that's going to cost him 3 or 4 tenths of a second in all of that. Mahate was coming right across just as Henny came through. Henny saw the gap, thought that he was going to let him through on that side, and then the door closed.
One lap ago, Keanu Begognon made his way through on Ethan Bass. He got it done turn 1, turn 2, had to go all the way to turn 3 to get it done, and the move was made. That will be the train that will be attacked next as they all fan through in your GTE category of field. The top 3 on islands of their own at the moment for them right now, but the race certainly by no stretch of the imagination over for those in the mid-pack, and straight on's going to go Mathieu van Delden here at turn number 1. He was just too late on the brakes going through, and he very nearly took the back out of the Steve Hobbs vehicle, and that could have ended in disaster for the 16.
It very much could have done, to be honest. I'm not sure how it didn't. He actually stayed on the road somehow. But yeah, I've never seen a driver get that wide and not go off before. But anyway, interestingly, the leaders, despite that, still separated by less than half a second. We still have a proper fight for the lead of the race here, which with this traffic could literally change at any moment. Ringwood's got ahead, but he's not checking out like PJ Clayson's has in the GTE class. But anyway, as the two of them continue to lap, Andrews and Danes also still in close attendance behind, although not quite as close. In fact, Johnson and Hoogland, I think, are closer. But yeah, the traffic already playing a part today, as we said they probably would.
Oh! And straight across at turn 4 goes Ollie Slade, and behind that, Philip Russell spins as well. Dane Baird, who's fighting, is going to go side by side. This is right at the back of the field, mind you, as they go through. And I believe our cameraman Marco's just seen that, and Dane Baird has actually gone into the wall, actually, so there was more contact as they were trying to fan on through. And Dane Baird has been the unlucky loser there, as trying to close the door down was Ollie Slade, and there was the contact.
Yeah, well, I can't see it because my game blinked, but anyway, Baird definitely ended up in the barrier, and he's got some heavy damage to the front of that BMW. It won't be handling right at this point in the race, and he may well have to make a pit stop. He's looking a little bit cautious through that sector. But anyway, continuing on his way, and good for him for not giving up, as it's so easy to do when you've been involved in an incident and lost a lot of time. More heavy traffic for the leaders now. Ringwood's been boxed in a little bit here behind one of the BMWs. Henny's going to gain a lot of time on him here because he had a much easier route through, and the gap down to maybe 3 or 4 tenths of a second.
Well, that's the issue when there's 2 Bricktech cars. You've got to try and get by in GTEs. So that was the issue there for Ringwood. And now look at this for the next bit of traffic. Neil Andrews is going to have to try and find a way through all of this, and Chris Danes. And you can see there's a train of 6 coming up, and this is the first of the Mathieu van Delden here for JPW Ringwood. He's got to be really clever about how he gets through this traffic right now. Van Delden comfortably has to sit on the outside, and they go through the corner pretty much equally, but on the exit you can see great work by Henny right now. Going to really close this down, but I reckon they're going to catch the next lot of traffic before they get to turn 1. I don't think this is quite an opportunity here to make the move for the race lead. So Ringwood now trying to navigate the traffic through. He goes on one. Oh no, there's no door. There's no door there. Didn't see Henny coming. Henny's on the grass. It's going to go straight on here at turn 1. Maybe might lose second position. position, makes contact with Van Delden on the rejoin as they go through. That, for Steve Hobbs, was a case of not looking in your mirrors.
And here comes Andrews. Andrews now to the inside. He's going to have that down into turn 4, surely, because even if they do reach this GT traffic, he's just going to be boxed in. On the inside, he's still there, and Andrew goes down to second place.
Oh, wow, what a move. What a move from Neil Andrews. I thought for all the money in the world that Steve Hobbs would have been a bystander, but he got it down on the brakes. Both of them did, and now they can check out and have their battles. Ringwood now with a big lead. He's through all of the traffic. 4 cars for Neil Andrews to try and get himself through, and he'll have to navigate this one very, very precariously. Henny under pressure now for third. It's the 2 teammates now. Chris Danes thinking about being wise here about the way to make this move here. Marshall has to go to the outside of the Pico de Pato, and they will comfortably streamline their way through this. Look at this. This is fantastic here for lap traffic. And also, you've got this battle going on. Taylor Lane, who's quietly been in 8th position, trying to get around Josh Johnson, who's stuck behind Morgan Thompson all the way through Mehulo into Jun Sao, and that's not really brilliant heads-up driving from Morgan Thompson. I would have let them go there, so Taylor Lane gets held up. He will lose himself a bit of time.
Now, I'm pretty sure that Danny Henny... Yeah, indeed, and Danny Henny has some slight suspension damage. His steering is not great, so that may well affect him over the rest of the race. It was actually a bigger hit than it looked. I was watching the replay and thought, yeah, surely that suspension's damage, and indeed it is. So that's going to be affecting him, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to follow Andrews.
Well, he has one fast repair, and that will correct some of the suspension steering damage that he may have at the moment. He's trying to deal with at the moment. If you look at Danny Henny's vehicle right now, it seems pretty nice, but if he's got suspension issues, then he's going to be really trying to fight against his vehicle the longer this stint goes on. Danes is not the first person to pit, though, out of the LMP2 category right now, because actually the first pitter happened to be Kevin Bolland, who finds himself 1 lap down, though, at the moment, and I think he's now out of the race. So Kevin Bolland has retired the vehicle from this race, and that is not what he wanted here today. I haven't quite seen how it happened for him, but Kevin Bolland is out.
Second retirement if you count Jonas Gillis, who didn't start the race. So first retirement out of the starters. Last of the runners now is Jason Haddington, who's been having a very tough time so far. But anyway, still continuing on his way, and actually just about to pass Dane Baird. He's still struggling in that damaged BMW, not quite able to get through there, but anyway, that's the fight for 30th overall, 29th, sorry. But anyway, big change, big shuffle in the LMP2 class. Oh, as Hoogland there runs wide, he actually passed Johnson that last lap. That's for 4th position.
That's Johnson wide, and here comes Hoogland.
Oh yeah, okay, I got them the wrong way round. So indeed, this is Hoogland coming at Johnson, and that's close.
It was. They were pretty much trading some paints there as they go through into the left, and Jelle Hoogland around the outside. Ben Johnson, of course, they're technically not teammates. It's the white car, so to speak, with the white trimmings there of Johnson. So it's the Team Johnson, we'll call them. And Team Hoogland ultimately making their way through. So Jelle Peter Hoogland, good job there, gets himself through, moves up into 4th place now overall on the circuit. Net 5th at the moment, with Chris Danes making his stop. He's come out just ahead of Philip McDougall in 8th place at the moment, so that's going to be really crucial. The other Johnson, Josh, still under pressure from Taylor Lane, and they've got traffic in front. Bass and Keanu going at it together, and at the moment it is Keanu who's got the better of that scrap at the moment. Bass, though, doing well to hold on, though, at this point in time, despite losing half a second that last time by.
The last thing you need is to come upon battling slower class cars, because they're less inclined to let you through. Of course, they don't have to let you through anyway, but they tend to be going a bit faster, maybe not quite watching their mirrors quite as much, and they can be quite dangerous. But anyway.
In comes Danny Henny then to make his stop. He'll use his fast repair. He's losing too much time, so he'll come down in, get his stop, and try and get back out again. He has led laps in this race, but the number 33 machine knows he's got to get going. There goes Chris Danes, though, straight away. They are quick stops in LMP2. And you can see Henny, who's going to come out of pit road here. He's going to be behind by at least 3 or 4 seconds right now, and that's going to be key. Chris Danes did a 24.5 as his opening lap, but this is the issue he's got right now. Ringwood 0.6 of a second quicker, as was Neil Andrews, who matched. So ultimately, Chris Danes is not making any time on the undercut at the moment. It is the overcut right now as they battle in GTE going on right now, and that's Russell Barnes who's having to play ultimate defense. They were side by side, too wide, too deep, as they had to get through a very slow Keanu. So what happened to Keanu then through all of this? Oh, he came together with Ethan Bass through turn 4.
Yeah, the overcut may well be working because sometime in iRacing it takes a while to get the tyres up to temperature, and if that's the case today, then yeah, it may well be that those who pit last have an advantage, and as well people who can run longer probably have more fuel in the car as well, which can also mean they can run shorter pit stops as well because they don't have to refuel as much. But anyway, into the pits now. We've got that's one of the GTEs that's just come in.
That's Billy Fletcher.
Ferraris, indeed, side by side in the GTE class as well. So 2 yellow Ferraris going at it into turn 1. That's Barnes and Marshall, and they're fighting for 6th place in class.
They are, and they've got Keanu, who made contact last lap behind them as well. So 3 Ferraris in a line. Watch out there, boys. Here comes Ewan to the outside. Let's try and get this move done. And very, very nicely on the brakes. It was a bit early, actually, there from Russell Barnes, who let him have it. But he gets it back on the exit, though, without any worries at all. So very nice contrasting lines. They go up to Ferradura. It's tough on the outside there for Russell Barnes. So he'll try and pick up an under here if he can. And he's looking and looking and looking, and it's not quite there. As they hit the brakes in the next section, has to avoid, and look at that, Ethan Bass straight down the inside of Keanu and says, that's how you pass cleanly, son.
Totally, great move there, great racing from all of these guys, very, very respectful, and that's what we like to see in sports car racing. It's a long race, 1 hour of course, not quite an endurance race, but still it sometimes feels like it to the drivers, and yeah, definitely not the kind of race where you want to be beating each other up. But anyway, as we climb the hill, it's now Slipstream Central time, and we're about to board the choo-choo train, I expect.
And Chris Danes is going to have to get through all of this again at the moment, and this is going to be the worry. Make space, Keanu. Oh, Danes, I think, just clapped the wall ever so slightly there through the left-hand corner. So La Kinka Sabina Dos Box says, definitely not helping. Is there lane down the inside? There isn't. So that checks up his teammate Bass ever so slightly. So that wasn't brilliant communication between them, but around the outside, Danes is going to go here as he looks to try and get past Russell Barnes. No charms about it there. That's very, very comfortable. So that's the traffic pretty much negotiated without too much flaw or fault through that section. But Ringwood leads the gap at the moment 2.5 seconds. And if you look at the gap that's going on at the moment in your GTE field, it is a very similar margin for PJ Clayson's right now, as he has himself 2.5, 3 seconds at the moment at the front of the field.
Indeed, he does. 2.5 seconds is the gap. As Danes manages to make a clean move, get past Russell Barnes. Oh, and Barnes gets nudged up the backside there by Ethan Bass. Not the place you want to be touched, but he gets away with it okay, and we're still pointing in the right direction, and I don't think I will have significant damage from that. Could have been a lot worse, but nose to tail contact doesn't tend to be that serious. Indeed, that was a very speculative dive, and he's probably just set himself up really badly there for the flat out section, has Bass.
Well, he certainly has done at the moment. You can see, though, Bass using the draft, and that is the great equaliser, the BMW, really making progress on the back of the train. Down into the lane comes Matisse van Delden. No surprises then as he decides to get going. Here comes Bass down the inside, trying to make this move, and he's going to get that one done. And oh, Keanu's going for a gap that maybe didn't quite exist there as he goes through, and he managed to manifest one. And I have to say, you can be Houdini as much as you like. There was a glitch in the Matrix, you could say, and he went straight for it there, Caitlin.
Perfect, and poked his way through the tiniest of gaps. And now we've got Barnes right on the tail of base again as they head up towards the Ferradura. Not really an overtaking opportunity normally if you want to set up a move here, you tend to actually pull it off in the S's, and you tend to require a mistake from your opponents. Not the best of corners from Bass, although Barnes not quite getting an opportunity. They've got LMB2 coming through as well very, very shortly. Keanu there.
Stephen Norman. Let's just go to this. He's had a spin on his own into turn number 1. He's hit the wall on the inside before the corner. He lost it under braking there as the car just seemingly locked for him and just veered off to the left as he went through. He was all the way out on that right-hand side there, Caitlin. And, of course, when you talk about that section of track, that's dirty parts of the track. There's a lot of marbles and horrible things out there. Grip is definitely reduced.
Yeah, my game actually not showing me his car at all. But anyway, yeah, sounds to me like he just got on the marbles, got on the colder part of the circuit, and again, very easy mistake to make. Turn 1 is a difficult corner. It's the braking zone, of course, is slightly curved, so you've got to master trail braking into there if you want to be truly quick. Which of course is one of the most difficult things to do in a sports car. But anyway, if you can make it stick, it can really set you up well for the remaining corners of that sector, turns 2 and 3, and then of course you have a long straight, the right-hand Costa immediately following it. So yeah, difficult corner, and that is an example of what not to do.
Keanu Bigognon comes out of pit lane and he finds himself behind Mathieu van Delden, so his stop a little bit longer, didn't quite work out for the moment. Philip Russell's lost a position as well. That's to Tony Baird, and that's very crucial because Baird on a comeback. Russell, big mistake through turn 4, having to abandon ship to the off-track area of the circuit, the asphalt there, the Herman Tilke-inspired off-track zone that they have at that part of the track, very much helping Philip Russell through there, able to continue on his merry way through that section. But Tony Baird needs every position he can get. Next up for him will be Philip McDougall, which is, of course, Neil Andrews' teammate.
The leaders are much closer. Talking of Neil Andrews, have 1 second between the two of them as they crossed the start-finish line that last time around. So it came down by about, and a big slide for Andrews, and he's on the grass, and he just saves it there. But he was on the grass right before the braking zone. I was really worried that he was going to brake and the car was just going to snap around on him, and he's going to have lost maybe half a second in that.
Well, he's lucky there that he's kept it together. It was a mistake like that for Andrews against Ringwood last time, which cost him the race. He's got to be careful about those sorts of things because they will get unlikely tags or tags that you will not like. For example, the tag of a win or bin driver. He definitely does not want to have that moniker associated with his name as he pushes forward. JPW Ringwood right now, that gap remains at 1 second. Despite that, Neil Andrews still did a 23.8. Consider how good Andrews has been in the late stint of this race. He's doing 23.1s before the mistake. Ringwood did a 24 flat in comparison. Let's take a look at Chris Danes, who has yet to come in. He's doing 24 flats only, though, at the moment. So there's the big difference. Staying out longer, seemingly working better.
So we're going to see how that plays out at the end of the race. Of course, there's 2 parts to the strategy, the initial effect and the long-term effect. So it may well be that Danes is struggling now, but towards the end of the race he comes into his own and claws back positions. But it's harder to do, of course, because track position matters for a lot in racing, especially sports car racing. Yeah, because, of course, it's one thing to catch a car and another thing to pass them. But I trust Danes, he knows what he's doing.
I've just had a look at Ben Kriener in pit road. He has just jumped in and has had to reverse back on 2 separate occasions to find his markers. So Ben Kriener's stop not going well. Ethan Bass's is going even worse right now, and here's the reason why, Caitlin. Of course, you have one fast repair. Ethan Bass wants to use his fast repair, but he had it ticked off at the start of the race for other reasons, because drivers certainly sometimes do. Now he's in his box, he's having to serve the repairs manually instead of automatically. It's a disaster.
Yeah, it's going to effectively be out of the running leader in that right to the back.
He's had to go off the circuit there to get around Fraser Smith. So Ringwood taking the adventurous line through there. He very much decided, I'll pick a lane. Traffic decided, I'll pick the same lane, my friend. So off the circuit went Ringwood. They're battling for the race lead. Neil Andrews right there. And all of a sudden, into the second half of the race, he's on once again for the overall race lead.
To me, that was close. They're already very close. back together now and chasing through the S's. Andrew is surely setting himself up now for the run up the hill. That's where you can get the slipstream. That's where you can use the car ahead as a windbreak. And they've got GTEs coming up as well. They've got traffic. This could well be Andrew's chance. They're both yet to stop. But if he's going to put it on the track, now it's going to be his chance, especially since Ringwood's just had a slide.
That was a wiggle. That was a big wiggle, but now they've got traffic and Ringwood's up to speed here. He leaves a lot of room on the outside. Keanu goes to the inside. Good heads-up driving. Now how are you going to deal with this one then? As they go through almost 4 wide down the straight, Ringwood survives to tell the tale. At the front, on the brakes they go. Into the left of right chicane at the centre S, and he survives just for a couple more corners. Maybe Andrews, he has himself his own little correction through turn 2, and the opportunity goes awry.
Surprised there that Ringwood was so much faster on the straight, especially since he had such a difficulty actually getting up to speed, finding the traction. Andrews didn't lift off at all, even past the GTEs. I think Ringwood just absolutely optimized the slipstream from the Ferrari there. But anyway, Ringwood still ahead of Andrews, very cleverly done along the straight. Andrews is going to have to go once again. They've got more traffic.
Taylor Lane comes down in onto pit road, and that's from 8th position overall in this race in the Bricktech car at the moment, but it is the front 2 which remains the big battle as they have to try and get around Ben Kriener, and they'll get through one. Go careful on the exit there. Kriener gets sent to the outside, and again another chance now, a much better chance for Neil Andrews here. Another mistake at the junction corner. Jun Sao here for JPW Ringwood, and here comes Andrews looking for it once again. He does not dive down onto the lane. They'll remain side by side, but look at this. It's a low downforce set compared to a medium downforce set, it seems, heading to turn 1, because the acceleration is right there for the Venomworks car against the CXR.
Racing incident there, I'd say, for Kriener and Ringwood. Both of them held their line. It's just that their lines happened to cross over. Maybe slightly more in Ringwood, but that's okay. Really just a racing incident, and he's done well to hold the lead there. But Andrews, much better run there out of turn 4 to see the Interlagos, and he might, well, I feel like he might have a go there into Ferradura, but yeah, no hope.
Yeah, no chance there for that time by, but he'll have better opportunities later on in this lap and in this race as well. It might be time to start thinking about that pit stop window. Remember, we just 22 minutes when they cross the line from the end of this race, and that is a crucial matter of fact, because drivers are looking at, well, when do I come in? When do I make my stop as well? That's going to be key for a lot of drivers here in this field at the moment. Your GTEs is an interesting one, because a lot of people have come in and decided it's time to make stops. Clayson's hasn't, nor has Phillips, nor has Marshall at the moment. Russell Barnes finds himself in 4th, Paul King in 5th, and Billy Fletcher now back to 6th place. In comes Morgan Thompson from 7th, but Billy Fletcher is the driver to keep an eye out on. 29.1 he did last time by. He is matching leader's pace.
Indeed he is. So another twist in this race, but still the lead is very close, less than 0.4 of a second as they cross the line that last time through. You see Ringwood there going to the inside or the middle of the circuit, just so he can be ready for an attack from Andrews, and also just to give him a bit less of a tow than he would have had if they both kept it straight. But anyway, yeah, very close. You can tell by the body language of Ringwood's car how he's reacting to the car behind, that he senses the pressure, and that he knows he's in trouble here.
There's a battle in front of them, though, and that is Billy Fletcher looking to get back into the top 5 in your GTE fields. He's fighting with the Bricktech car in front. That, of course, is Paul King in the number 44. He's having to try and negotiate a way around. So on the brakes they go into Jun Sao, and they will soon have a very ferocious, very hungry lot of Honda performance drive vehicles looking to try and get themselves a way around. So keep an eye on this as they go forward. Paul King under that pressure right now from the quicker Billy Fletcher, who makes his charge through this section. Lee Woodburn finds himself now out of the race. He was a little bit further down the order as into the pits there comes Neil Andrews.
And Chris Danes has shattered his car. Chris Danes,
Oh,
that's
no.
a write-off. Goodness me. Well, he's in the pits trying to repair, but that's going to take a really long time. The car is absolutely totaled.
Well, I wonder where that happened for him. It didn't happen in the early stages. I wonder if he came together outside the Bico de Pato, potentially, because he was looking good on his own for a majority of the time. So I just want to see exactly where the damage has happened.
It was in the first chicane, but I can't see how it happened.
Well, I can't see how it
'Cause,
happened either. So that is Chris Dane.
and
And
he's a
that is a
DNF.
heavy incident, and I believe we just caught it on camera. So, Chris Danes, it's happened right at the end. So I'm going to catch this one very, very late to see exactly what's happened. But it is very, very tough for a lot of drivers at the moment. And that is a heavy, heavy incident, Chris Dane.
Yeah, it's the DNF too. He's well and truly out of the race, which is a big, big shame. But anyway, yeah, Andrews has exited the pits, and as a result, he's a long way behind JP, but seems to have relatively clear road, which will be good for.
That's a
Actually, no,
failure.
he's got a GT directly in front. Sorry.
Chris Danes has had a wheel failure. There's no other explanation. He goes straight on hard into the wall. So that is a wheel failure that has
You're
cost
absolutely right.
Chris Danes. It's a horrible, horrible incident.
Yeah, just nothing happening
In
as he
comes
turned
Ringwood.
into the corner there, and flipped several times. That's, yeah, definitely Dane's out the race. And anyway, Ringwood into the pits from the lead. So this is the important part. We'll see if there really is an undercut to be found at the circuit at all. And I think the most important person to watch here is Neil Andrews, who's coming
Across the
across
line now.
finish line. Ringwood gets
Oh,
going.
this is going to be close.
This is going to be close, goodness me.
It's going to be really close. This is all about Andrews now. How good's the power as he heads through turn 3? He will have the pace, but I think Ringwood's just ahead, and he's got traffic in front of him as well. And that's going to be crucial. He's got a car in between, but that won't mean too much here. Matisse van Delden won't be too much. Ringwood maintains the race lead with 18 minutes to go. Now 17, and all of a sudden, this is going to be all about Neil Andrews. How does he deal with what's going to happen coming through? Josh Johnson as well comes out of pit road after making his stop as well, and he finds himself very nicely in position. So this is a very, very crucial part of the racing season at the moment. The early stages are key to how this race is going to be run, and we still have other drivers who need to come down in and make a stop. For example, you got Claysons and Dion Phillips, I think, who have both, I believe, had themselves some good runs, but they are both due their pit stop.
And that just shows you how much the traffic comes into play in races like this, because Andrews had to pass a GTE car in that last lap. If he didn't have to do that, he would have taken the lead there. There's no doubt about it. He's in the slipstream now. They're both in the slipstream of a Ferrari as they go up the hill through past the seated boxes and round the outside of the Ferrari, cross the line. More GT traffic coming up. And Andrew's not able to attack into turn 1 there, but so close, less than 0.3 of a second in it. They're not currently leading the race. They've got Hoogland and Johnson ahead, who haven't yet pitted. Josh Johnson did pit on that last lap, so they've got past him now. But yeah, wonderful fight for the lead here between Andrews and Ringwood at a tense part of the race. We're 3/4 in, just about.
Well, out to pit road comes Benjamin Johnson here, and he will be ahead of his brother Josh. They share the same house, so if they have an argument, they can have a nice little bit of fisticuffs with it, very much like you would in the pit lanes, so to speak. But Jelle Peter Hoogland then, he's also come out of pit road, and he finds himself ahead of that battle, and crucially, in 4th position. Danny Henney finds himself in 3rd, leading the charge now for the Brittech cars. But this is the issue now Neil Andrews has at the front of the field. It seems to me, Caitlin, like it is low downforce versus medium downforce. And if that's the case, Neil Andrews has the toughest task, and that is getting past one JPW Ringwood when he does not have the power at his advantage.
Now this is going to be all about intimidation for Andrews. He needs to keep putting the pressure on Ringwood wherever he can, just like he did a few laps ago where he took a look into Ferradura knowing that he wasn't going to get through. That was just for intimidation. He wants to keep reminding Ringwood that he's in his mirrors. Meanwhile, Hoogland and Johnson have both pitted, so Ringwood and Andrews lead again. But yeah, if Ringwood is being forced to keep looking in his mirrors and be on the edge of his seat, not knowing when Andrews is dive, that means he's more likely to make a mistake, more likely to make an error, and therefore more likely to leave the door open for JPW Ringwood. Sorry,
Out of
for Neil Andrews.
Out of pit lane comes Russell Barnes, and he will come out right with Matisse Van Delden, so they will scrap for position all the way to the end of this race. So these two are going to go at it at the moment, and they're not going to be in best positions with each other. Steve Hobbs and Keanu Begognon are going at it as well, so that's going to be something interesting to see. So Steve Hobbs just behind, hoping that he can stay within range at the moment on this race. Wide though goes JPW Ringwood, side by side to Mahulo. Almost a bit of contact between them as they go down the hill, looking towards the junction corner, and that was close then from one driver. A mistake on entry as well for JPW. Wide, using all of the road and even a little bit of the grass. There goes Andrews, but again stuck in the toe. It's medium downforce versus low. Even with the draft, when they get to top speed, JPW Ringwood, even with the draft, is pulling away at the end of the straight.
Braking zone and sometimes maybe an opportunity, but he need to be closer than that. Of course, Andrew is still right on the tail, and this is one of those frustrating experiences as a driver, being stuck behind a driver that you know you're faster than, and just not being able to find a way through because you don't have the car for it or the setup for it. And that's exactly what's happening here with Neil Andrews. They have identical chassis, identical engines, but they've set them up very, very slightly differently. And that can make all the difference in a race like this. That doesn't mean, of course, that Ringwood setup's better. It may well be that Andrews is able to do a faster lap overall, but Ringwood just edges it out in a race on defense. And yeah, that was very close. Again, they're heading into the S's.
Big incident for Benjamin Johnson. The front's gone on that vehicle. He's done it all on his own. He was in 5th position overall, gets the AstroTurf through Desquita de Lago, and he's found the wall.
Yeah, he's going to have to pit for that. He's going to have lost a lot of front downforce. Suspension doesn't look too badly damaged, but it's hard to tell. And yeah, that's big shame for Benjamin Johnson. He was doing a good job running in 5th position. Pretty sure he had made a pit stop, so that was so that would have been for position. He's now behind his brother Josh, and yeah, that's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt a lot, and he will hear how frustrated he is through all of the Venomworks team. They had a 1-2-3-4 finish at Daytona after all the incidents that happened to Baird and to Danes and co. after everything that happened. So that will really, really hurt. And Benjamin Johnson, I think he will have his day pretty much done if he used his fast repair at the pit stop. So that's not going to be ideal as they go through and they continue to have their scraps up and down the fields. Leading battle still in position right now, but what's crucial to note is really close for the race lead. They're side by side, almost contacts they go through, and Andrew's trying to pick it up down the inside. I think he's just gone and done it. Yes, he has. Ringwood trying to fight back at the inside. No room there. Room has to be given by Andrews, who takes the big wide line. There could be a dive coming back here at Beacon and Pato. Can he get it close enough? No, he can't.
That was absolutely wonderful there. Absolutely wonderful. We had Ringwood going slightly wide, but Andrews did an incredible job to keep the car at the inside. Lesser drivers would have made contact and spun him. Lesser drivers maybe would have panicked, gone up over the curb, lost the momentum. But Neil Andrews is not a lesser or a he's certainly not a struggling driver. He is a proper contender here. Andrews, who wasn't at Daytona, remember, is fighting for the lead here. Was he?
Yes.
Oh yes, he was. Sorry, I've forgotten that several times now. My sincerest apologies to Neil Andrews. Indeed he was, but made that mistake at Daytona. Is being sure not to make a similar mistake here today. He is going to have to be careful in a straight line because, of course, it's easier to pass on a straight than in the corners, and Ringwood is faster on a straight. But yeah, great move from Andrews nonetheless.
Yeah, fantastic move from him. The leaders in your GTE field have all pitted. Claysons, Phillips and Marshall on the same lap. So Claysons regains the lead. Dion Phillips is in second, but Marshall is a very, very distant 4th place now because Billy Fletcher has a chance of getting second away from Dion Phillips after a fantastic stint on the tyres. But this is the issue with what Dion Phillips, not Dion Phillips, what Ewan, not even Ewan Marshall, what Billy Fletcher is doing at the moment. He's on really old tyres right now, and he's got to get past someone who's just come out on fresh slicks.
Philip Russell there had a big spin, and I think it was Yellow Peter who take avoiding action, and that was very close indeed. Yeah, big spin. Wasn't entirely sure where Philip Russell was going to end up. Luckily, Russell lit up the rear tires to spin the car around and keep it from going back onto the racing line. So heads up driving from Russell, but sadly for him, he's the only LMP2 driver not on the lead lap, apart from the retired Danes of Holland. Yeah, his he goes from bad to worse. He's going to be with a struggling car now on those tyres. And the final 10 minutes, not much hope remains for him.
Well, not much hope remains, but he's still there, tucked underneath. JPW Ringwood lost 9/10 of a second that last time by another mistake. He goes through the left hand of turn number 4. It seems that Ringwood is really much ragged on these tyres, and he will not be best pleased at how he's running. He struggled late at Daytona as well. He was caught by Yellow Peter Hoogland heading towards a multi-21 finish, which wasn't quite ideal, but ultimately, he knows he's got 8 seconds to Danny Henney in third. On though for second in that GTE category right now still, Dion Phillips. He had to start thinking about going defensive there into turn 7 and through into the Laranjina corner. It's a case of, well, you've got to really look, wait and worry right now if you're Dion Phillips. He is not over and done with and away, so to speak.
Interestingly, Chris Dane saying he was taken out by a GTE, which is not what it looked like on the screen. So something weird has happened there anyway.
Keanu and going side by side with Steve Hobbs. They made contact through turn 7 right there, Caitlin. And look at this, though. Steve Hobbs looking to go back down the inside and get this move done, but can't get it on the power. Look at Keanu's drive off of the exit. See you later, mate. He's gone.
So Keanu up the hill will have the advantage, but because they're in identical cars, Hobbs will be getting a wonderful slipstream off the back of him. Perfect shape, like putting a round peg in a round hole. But anyway, here we go across the line. We'll see the gap between the two of them. I reckon this definitely isn't over yet. Hobbs coming back at him, and yep, going up the inside just as I thought he would, but not quite. Making the move on the brakes. Keanu gets it slowed in time, and he may have to wait another lap. Might Steve Hobbs.
Oh, well, this is really interesting for Yellow Peter Hoogland. He's come up on the P2 battle right now with not many minutes remaining, and he is deciding, you know what? I've got the gap behind. I will sit and wait. I do not want to make any risky moves at all. So this is some clever driving here by Yellow at the moment. And all over the curb there goes Billy Fletcher. Oh, Billy. That very nearly ended up looking more like a Billy Goat's gruff than it did like a Billy Fantastic move. So very much there. It seems Billy Fletcher is using everything he possibly can to stay in contention at the moment through Junsao, trying to pick up second in the final 6 minutes.
So, will he end up being seen as a skilly Billy or a silly Billy? We're about to find out. He's in the slipstream. Actually chooses the slipstream of the LMP2 rather than the Ferrari there. As they go towards turn 1, well, speculative, but bails out of it, as is wise. Now it's all about getting the run through the chicane, and actually that was a pretty good run there. He's going to be faster on this next straight. And they're both slipstreaming that LMP2 there. This is going to be close towards the Cida de Lago. Ferrari covers him off. Dion Phillips there doing a good job in defence. But yeah, these two closer than they've been throughout this entire race since the first lap.
Ben Kriener under pressure right now. He's got Russell Barnes looking every which way to try and make a move. This is a little bit further back in your GTE category right now, and this is for about 7th, 8th, and 9th overall. Look at that, hard to the inside. No room at the end to go through on the inside. Have to do it around the outside here, Steve, if you want, or Russ, if you want to try and get this one done. And look behind, there is Tony Baird, who is now back into 6th position in category. He's done a fantastic job in this race to get himself back into contention. We've also got in the mix Matish van Delden, who's not gone away in this battle. This is a crucial fight for these three drivers. Every point matters, almost like a Tesco slogan.
Just lost Ollie Slade from the race. He's become another of our...
All side by side for second. Here we
Oh,
go,
yeah.
it's happening here. Josh Johnson goes around all of them right now, and here's Billy Fletcher under pressure here trying to get the move done. He's got the inside on Dion Phillips right now, and he's got to try and really think about it. There's an LMP on the outside, which will be equal on the brakes as they go through. Dion Phillips, oh my goodness me, they came together. Round goes the inside vehicle. Oh, Billy, not how you wanted that to happen. Dion Phillips gampers away to second.
Oh, they were 3 wide going into turn 1. That was always going to be tough there with the LMP2 on the outside. Oh no, it wasn't the leader, sorry. I panicked a bit there, but anyway, it was his teammate. It seems that there wasn't contact initially at all. Billy lost control all on his own. I don't think there was contact. That was just Dion running wide in avoidance. Good avoidance from Dion. And I think we've had our answer. Silly Billy.
Well, it wasn't quite the way that Billy wanted that one to go, but Billy Fletcher is a very quick driver and deserves to be up there near the front. No such qualms for the leader in GTEs, PJ Claysons, who is about to go back-to-back in GTEs with another commanding performance that cannot be argued. It's still on, though, for the top 5. You've got Steve Hobbs, Keanu Begognon at the moment, and Traffic trying to get by in the form of Taylor Lane. There's only a few laps to go here in this one, and ultimately Keanu is not safe, but the traffic has really helped over the course of this lap.
Is that the leader? Yes, it is! Ah!
Wow.
Oh, no, it's not. Sorry.
No,
Sorry,
it's
it's his teammate.
It's
Oh,
Philip
my
Russell.
goodness. Oh, my word.
Don't
sorry.
scare me.
I'm
Do
really,
not-
really sorry. Okay, indeed, that was Philip Russell. I saw his livery. I switched to the car, and because it took a while to load. My goodness, sorry. Anyway, yeah, that was Russell having yet another spin, at young car, and lit up the rear tires. Yeah, that's he's coming back into the pits. That may well be the end of the race for Philip Russell there. It's also the end of the race for Ethan Bass, who's been sitting in the pits for a long time, and we've also lost Lee Woodburn along the way somewhere. So a couple of drivers who were doing okay at the start of the race, not doing so okay now, unfortunately. But yeah, sorry to everyone. I just startled there.
Well, you gave me a shock, and Neil Andrews very much will hope that he doesn't end up like his teammate today. He's had a very torrid time of things as Philip Russell. He's looked more backwards than forwards at the moment, but he doesn't have long, does Neil Andrews. He's got himself just 2 minutes left in this race, so he'll have 2 laps to go here, and he'll only have a couple of drivers to look at. One is Philip McDougall, another one of his teammates, and then Morgan Thompson on top of that. So no real worries at the moment. It's still on, though, for 5th place in your GTE category. Keanu still fighting with Steve Hobbs, and behind that, you got Karina Barnes and Van Delden going at it as well. These are where the big fights are happening at the moment. And of course, someone like Keanu, who is looking around and thinking, well, I've had a couple of incidents here today. I want to make sure that I finish this one cleanly. He's just got to run 2 more good laps and he'll be home and dry.
Anyway, just a couple of laps indeed, I believe. Yeah, after the one, looking at the times. Of course, relatively short track, but looking at the way they are on the circuit, Andrew is just about to lap Philip McDougall here. One of his teammates needs to get past him cleanly. I'm sure McDougall will not put up too much of a fight here. Amazing to see that we're going to have 8 cars finish on the lead lap here. This is just a testament to how strong this LMP2 field is. Any of these top 8 drivers could absolutely whoop me in a race. But anyway, actually, Andrew's not getting past McDougall as easily as I thought he would be. McDougall holding him up into turn 1 there. Goodness me.
Well, it is the last lap, and maybe it might be a case of please let me finish on the leading lap, but I don't think that will be too much of a worry. Through at turn 4, and on the Reto Aposta, he'll lift off of the power and let Neil Andrews through. So no real worries about that for the moment as the race leader starts the final lap. Also on the final lap about to start is PJ Claysons, who's had a fantastic race so far here today, and he hasn't really had to worry about too much overall. There is still that fighting. Keanu just keeping it an arm's length right now here against the driver in front of, driver behind even of Steve Hobbs. And then you got Karina on in a scrap at the moment as they look to go through and deal with their battles at the moment. But for Neil Andrews, he heads himself to the Bico de Pato. He doesn't have too many worries left. He's got a handful of corners to go, and this is one of them. This is Mahulo, and the final real braking zone out on circuit, the junction, Junzhou. There's no Timo Glock moments here today, but Neil Andrews, he had opportunity of victory at Daytona. He threw that one away, but he wasn't going to do that twice, not here at Interlagos. Money was made in this one. Neil Andrews will come to the line and he will take the second round of the Venomworks Sportscar Championship here at Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. Second for JPW Ringwood. Third will come along for Henny, as you see a little bit behind here, Caitlin. PJ Clayson's making his way over through the Bico de Pato.
PJ Clayson's has driven another absolutely wonderful, dominated here just as he dominated at Daytona a month ago, and PJ Clayson's will well and truly be the championship leader of GTE coming into the next round. Of course, in LMP2 that will be JPW Ringwood, but anyway, PJ now coming around the very final corner of the race, and he's surely going to flash his lights and celebrate as he deserves to do. The yellow and blue striped car crosses the finish line. Dion Phillips is going to be slipstreaming in LMP2 to the flag. That'll be Tony Baird there, but Dion Phillips has put on a wonderful show in second as well. He fought hard with Billy Fletcher. Fletcher did a great job to finish third as well, despite the mistake in the late stages. Ewan Marshall going to cross the lane in fourth in the class in that Ferrari, and he made up quite a few positions from his starting place of 19th. He's now 14th overall, and very close behind between Begonjon and Hobbs, but Begonjon just edges that out for fifth there.
Yeah, and they were close behind him as well as they head through towards turn 7. It seems that the CXR cars are wanting the group photo. They're going in slowly enough to say, oh, hello, let's get the nice little camera picture out, and we'll put that one on our Facebook page, and we'll be really happy for the 8 likes that we're going to get. They're going to be really excited about the win that they've got, and I think a lot of teams and drivers will be excited as well. Official classified results, though, are as follows. Neil Andrews, a big, big win, and he'll be so happy for that one. 1 hour and 45 seconds, his margin of victory. 3 seconds come the end against a Jake Ringwood, who proved to be a tough cookie to crack, but ultimately the cookie crumbled right towards the end. Danny Henny picks up third on debut, with Jelle Peter Hoogland a very solid 4th position to keep the Constructors' Championship lead very firmly in Venomworks' hands. Josh Johnson finishes 5th, ahead of his brother who had himself issues, but Tony Baird, after a lap 1 incident, has done mighty, mighty well to come back and get 6th place overall. That will bring him back into contention. Another recovery drive from Tony Baird. He'll need some good luck in the second half of the season. Taylor Lane finishes in 7th, with Benjamin Johnson 8th, a minute back off of the lead, with Philip McDougall in 9th, a lap down, and Philip Russell 2 laps down in 10th position. The non-finishers in your LMP category were Chris Daines, who had himself an issue, and Kevin Bolland, who retired early. Caitlin stood by with GTEs.
So indeed, PJ Clayson's took another absolute wonderful finish. P1 there, you see him going side by side with his teammate in the Ferrari there. That's Ewan Marshall. But anyway, Dion Phillips was 2nd. Billy Fletcher was 3rd. Talking of Marshall, he was classified 4th at the end of all of that. Keanu Bogonjon just held on to 5th position ahead of Steve Hobbs. Then Ben Kriener, who was a contender in the early stages, but then had a long pit stop. Russell Barnes followed him. Then Matish Van Delden, Fraser Smith, Paul King, Morgan Thompson, Stephen Norman, Kim Verhate, and Jason Haddington. And the DNFs in the GTE class were Ollie Slade, Lee Whitburn, Ethan Bass, and indeed it is Ethan Bass. Just to settle that debate, he's told us himself. Apologies if I said that wrong at all. I did know it was Bass. May have slipped, but anyway. Dane Baird also retired sadly, and Jonas Gillis, of course, qualified but did not make the start.
Well, a very, very big race here today, and of course, we'll move straight and very quickly over to post-race interviews here today, and we're still JPW Ringwood mid-conversation into the commentary box for us at the moment. Well, Jake, let's have a conversation, because it seemed for all the world that it was going to be history repeating itself, some would say, from Daytona. All your rivals around you running themselves into issues, but it just seemed that when you needed it the most, it just wasn't there with the car.
Yeah, tyres went off about halfway through. I think Neil was running a high downforce setup. I kept thinking he was back enough on the straights, but I think it was just a case of I was more slippery in a straight line. But tyres suffered in the middle section of the track, and he just drove past me. That was a brilliant move. I actually sort of said out loud to myself that was great, but it hurt.
But caught napping ever so slightly. You now look at things. You still got the championship lead. That's the very important point. But ultimately, from where you were a day ago, being slower than myself on a PlayStation controller, to where you are now, you have to say that the improvement was remarkable, and second position would probably be as much as you could possibly hope for from this race.
I'd have bitten your hand off yesterday if you told me I was going to finish second. But when you stick it on pole, you start thinking, oh yeah, I could win this. But well, I'll take it. Definitely take it.
Well, you've got to definitely take it, because you're going to have to take it for another wait for the next round of the championship. It is, of course, Sebring in the traditional March slot for Sebring racing. You've got the 12-hour that comes along to help prepare for that style of racing as well. So Sebring seemingly is going to be a very well-placed track for you in terms of how this season's going to be run.
Yeah, I like Sebring as well. I don't know how the LMP2 is going to do around there. Quite a bumpy track, but yeah, should be fun.
Well, before we let you go here, JP, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done?
Yeah, just thank you to everyone again who contributes to the championship. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, well, there we go. JPW Ringwood, great job there. Picks up a race victory. Or a race second
I
even
wish.
overall, as I get tired. You wish for a race victory. You have to wait for next time at Sebring for that one to happen. Second position, though, in GTEs, that went to Dion Phillips, stood by with Caitlin Penny.
Hey there, Dion. Do you hear us?
I do indeed. How you doing, Caitlin? How you doing, Jake?
We are doing fantastic, especially since we've just witnessed a wonderful, wonderful race. Very close there between you and the third place car. You took it right to the line, to the final lap. Talk us through how
Yeah,
it looked from your point of view.
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't giving up, to be fair. I left a lot of space. I think I've just looked at the replay and it looked like net code to me. There wouldn't have been contact if it was real world sort of thing. But yeah, unlucky for Billy. It was shaping up to be a really good battle. But yeah, as I say, I wasn't giving up. No way. After holding second for all that time, there was no way I was going to let it go at that first corner like that. I knew if I could hold the line sort of middle into the S's, I'd be good on drive for the straight. So yeah, no, I think it was firm but fair.
Yeah, that's understandable. I actually looked at the replay. I don't think there was contact at all, even netcode, so you're fine.
Cool.
But anyway, you had a lot of pace here today. You were very, very fast. After qualifying, were you surprised to be as competitive as you were, or
I was. I expected the Porsche to be strong because of the track, and I expected PJ to be very strong because PJ is PJ. But yeah, I was quite surprised that it was that tight at the top. You know, it was less than half a temp. So yeah, no, I was very pleased with that indeed.
great fight anyway? So shout outs and sponsors. Who gets it done for you?
First of all, Mr. Ringwood, thanks for organising all this, mate. And obviously, you organised that's Rabble in the team. Does a great job of that. And the guys at Excite, yeah, and the missus for letting me spend the evening racing around in pretend cars.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dion. So we move on to Jake Sperry now, who has another drive sprint.
Medium
I
downforce.
only
Medium.
have the race winner as well. And again, I have caught mid conversation in our interview waiting room. Neil Andrews feeling very pumped up and excited after that race victory. Neil, let's talk setup for the moment, because it seemed that you went for a higher downforce setup than some of your rivals, made life a little tougher to make those moves, but the piece of brilliance gets you the race victory.
Setup, certainly. I was on running a medium downforce, and then sort of at the start, I realised that everybody else was on low, so I knew it was going to be a bit of a handful at the start, but you persevere and the medium does come back. The low downforce guys, they burn their tyres out later on in the race. So yeah, that was good.
Well, it was certainly good, and especially after a Daytona race where you thought that you had the race win in your hands, and then it just fell away from you in the wall on the outside of the bus stop. But you now look at, say, a big victory like this. Is this the moment that kickstart your season for you, and you can now start putting together those results in what is an uberly tight competitive LMP2 field?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, this is the start of my my championship. Yeah, definitely. But wow, what a field of HPDs we've got out there. That is so close. It really is.
Well, it is incredibly close, but more importantly than that, you look to Sebring for the next round of the championship. A lot of preparation will go in with the likes of the 12-hour coming up before that, so a chance to get accustomed over the next 3-4 weeks.
Definitely, I love Sebring. Probably one of my better tracks. So as well with Interlagos. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Sebring. Definitely.
Well, the floor is yours, Mr. Andrews. Shout out sponsors who gets it done for a big race win.
Well, big shout out to the whole team, CXR Project Black. Great bunch of guys. We're a new team coming together. So this is just a great shout out to them for all the help with setup work and just a great bunch of guys.
Well, great result for you. Neil Andrews picks up the big race win and be very happy with that. We couldn't get an interview last week with Billy Fletcher, but Caitlin Penny will try again.
Hello, Billy. Do you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear loud and clear, Caitlin.
Jolly good. You were right in the midst of the action for a lot of that race. It seemed that it kind of alternated. Every time I looked at you, you were either right up someone else's gearbox or you were completely on your own. How did it look from your point of view?
To be honest with you, I just went for the same tactics I did at Daytona. So I just thought to myself, I'll get in early. I could see the HPD cars coming. So I just took the pit stop early, got myself some clean air, and I was lucky enough I managed to keep clear. Made a couple of small errors, which is gutting considering how close I came out behind Dion. I think without the mistakes, I could have been in front.
That final battle though with Dion, of course, very very close and didn't quite end the way you wanted it to. Talk us through that.
The setup I put on the car is a bit more set to downfall, so I was struggling a bit on the straight. So I knew I had to do something at a random point somewhere. I knew I could pass in there, but what I didn't count on is one of his teammates coming around the outside in the HPD and giving him a bit of slipstream.
Well, anyway, you did a very good job to hang on to third place after all of that as well. And of course, next time out is Sebring. Are you looking forward to the circuit?
Yeah, I enjoy Sebring. I'm pretty good around there, so fingers crossed the Luxim M8 will be at the front and we can get a good result.
Great. Well, we'll see you in 1 month's time.
Cool, thank you for having us. Cheers.
Well, that is Billy Fletcher, and very briefly, we're going to get a word with Ollie Slade in the 34 car. It seems that his race wasn't quite the way that he wanted, a non-finish come the end. Ollie, talk us through what happened.
Yeah, not a great day for me, guys. So yeah, coming to this with very little practice, unfortunately. So there's a number one tip for you guys: practice makes perfect. Yeah, so first corner, got a little bit of contact, unfortunately. Pitted early to get that repaired, and then yeah, had some battling with Dane, and unfortunately, I didn't see him to my left, and we had a bit of contact. So yeah, not a great day for me, but teammates did an amazing job. So a big shout out to Russell and Steve there in our 50 forward cars. They did an awesome job, and they put on a really good show for everyone.
Well, a really good show for them, from their driving perspective, but ultimately a result that you can't necessarily take away here from Interlagos, but maybe better opportunities at Sebring, a very different track to this Interlagos circuit.
Absolutely, yeah. So Interlagos is a circuit that I really like. Sebring is, like you say, characteristically totally different. So we have two very long straights there that we want to take advantage of for sure, and then we've got a very tight, twisty infield section that, it isn't dissimilar to this track in that sense, but the concrete and the surfaces are entirely different and a lot more abrasive. So I expect to see some close racing there. Track's a lot tighter as well, of course. So we'll see how that does with our team, but. Yeah, we've already got the guys talking about doing some tactics next round because they think they could get some benefits from doing that. So let's see how that goes.
Well, we'll hope to see how good that works for your team. Ollie Slade, not necessarily getting the result he wants, but some good racing he had out there today. But Caitlin, final thoughts as we close the curtain here at Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace and we head over to the Sebring International Circuit.
It is amazing to see cars so close for so long. Qualifying really set the scene with 5 cars within I think it was within a tenth of a second, maybe even within, just a couple of hundreds anyway. at the very front of the field, and a very similar tally in GTE as well. And then all through the race, fighting for podium positions. LMB2 almost went down to the wire. Second place in GTE almost went down to the wire. And yeah, if this is anything to go by, then just imagine how exciting Sebring is going to be in a month's time.
Exactly, and the only place you can catch that is on Forever Sim Racing's YouTube channel, and of course that is where you are right here, right now. If you haven't already, make sure that you like this video, make sure that you share this video to your friends, and make sure that you subscribe for more great sim racing content here with Forever Sim Racing. A massive shout out though has to go to Violet for the music that you've heard over the course of this broadcast. Of course, you can catch her album Queen of Misfits and all of the other stuff on Bandcamp and also on Spotify as well. But in terms of from us, this is where we close the door for this one. A massive thanks as well to Marco Barbanera, who's been on the cameras, provided by the legendary Dougie Beard, after a fantastic job by him to get the cameras to us at the 11th hour and the 59th minute. Caitlin Penny, as well, has been joining me on my left-hand side as my commentator, alongside on colour, and on lead, it's been myself, Jake Sperry. But smiles all round for Neil Andrews. He'll be absolutely pleased and over the moon with the way that this result has gone for him. He gets it over the championship leader, but Ringwood will take a smile after not having the best preparation for this race. Clayson's will be incredibly happy. He goes back-to-back with victories in this championship, but the bumps and the concrete come together over at Sebring. It's a much different prospect, and anyone who is anyone could find themselves right at the top of their game.